Our topic for this debate is Technology Threatens the Future of Special Education and Applied Behavior Analysis. Jessica Tice and Amanda Dorsey will be representing the pro side. Stacy Poplava and Christina O'Byrne will be representing the con side. This will be an informal debate. Thank you for watching.
Technology is advancing rapidly, and there are a multitude of ways to teach children with autism and other developmental disorders that there were not available up until this point. These can range from alternative communication devices to therapy sessions conducted through technology. Having these options available can be extremely helpful for children and their families. However, there are many downsides when it comes to technology and applied behavioral analysis, ABA, in children with autism. ABA is a type of therapy that applies the understanding of how behaviors work to real life situations through increasing behaviors that are desirable and decreasing those behaviors that are considered undesirable. As for special education, which targets students with learning disabilities or mental challenges, it assists in teaching them how to learn. Children receiving regular face-to-face therapy with a clinician and a parent is essential for their development and social skills, and the use of technology can significantly reduce this crucial interaction. It is also important to keep in mind the cost and lack of insurance coverage that many families are faced with. Additionally, technology does not mean devices used during therapy, but technology outside of behavior analytic practices. Video games, social media, and television can all contribute to the health and the well being of the child with autism.
Our informal debate will consist of smaller discussions around the pros and cons for several main points surrounding technology and the relationship with special education and applied behavior analysis. The discussions will include the following main points: health, care coordination and training with staff use and data collection, face-to-face therapy and accessibility, social media and device usage, along with reinforcement, cost, stigma and normalcy with assistive technology, and lastly, teletherapy and video modeling. Please remember throughout this informal debate that the pro side supports technology as a threat to the future of special education and ABA, while the con side is in disagreement with technology posing a threat. Throughout the debate, we will also reference compliance code according to the BACB that we feel relate to our debate and the points that we make.
Today, the number of children and individuals with devices like phones, tablets, computers, and other smart devices has increased in the number of individuals who use them in their day-to-day lives, as more technology is becoming available each day. When a person thinks of technology, they do not always think of the health benefits or even the downfalls for a person. The BACB states that Ethical Code 3.02 medical consultation is the consideration for health as behavioral analysts are to recommend seeking medical consultation if there is any idea of a behavior being influenced by a medical or a biological variable which should be in compliance regarding the health of our clients. According to Sage and Bergio 2017, who found that children that engaged in more screen time the most have higher BMIs, which leads to more health concerns. We all know what it's like when we sit on the couch and eat a snack watching a movie. We don't necessarily realize what or how much we have eaten until after the fact. This can be relatable for children with autism in this way with technology. The more an individual engages in the heavy use of technological devices, it begins the creation of negative impacts on an individual's behavior. And these behaviors are consistent with classical addiction. Many negative attributes of addiction include problems with information overload, stress, digital multitasking, and loss of learning abilities.
Benefits from the use of technology in the medical field for those typically developing and with disabilities are being widely identified. Hames and Associates describe smart technology in healthcare as the combination of information and communication technologies and health monitoring devices. These cover a wide variety of technologies, including internal, wearable, and smart house technologies. Smart technology could include a computer, cell phone, personal digital assistant, voice activation system, touchpad controller, or other devices such as a remote control that can interact with and manipulate the devices in the environment that the person is functioning in. Hames and colleagues state how utilizing smartphone applications and tools has been found to be a feasible option for the management of diabetes and could possibly add to the decrease of the progression of diabetes, along with improving the patient's quality of life. Hames and colleagues also discuss how people with intellectual disabilities have the concept of pain, but aren't always able to communicate successfully with their medical team the nature of the pain. There has been a void in the capacity that doctors have been able to understand their patients. Hames and colleagues push for the implementation of technology within the medical field in the form of communication devices and photo-based technology systems for communication with caregivers and doctors. Doing this will only continue to improve the lives of people with disabilities and all medical staff involved.
Care coordination and training, staff use, and data collection. Care coordination is composed of health-related, medical, educational, or social services. Many individuals with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, have extensive healthcare needs along with physical and developmental comorbidities, which is why they require services from many providers. Caregivers to those with ASD reported to have a more difficult time using the services compared to individuals with other developmental disabilities. Studies by Vora and colleagues, 2016, suggest that care coordination can be improved by the development of better patient-provider networks and adapting best practices of patient-centered care models. Healthcare administration is primarily on computers, and with the amount of care many children with autism require, it can lead to miscommunication between providers, which can be detrimental for the child's care. Alternatively, it would be more effective for the providers on the child's case to meet as a team to discuss a comprehensive plan for the individual. This is also a more personal approach, which can result in the client feeling more comfortable and the family being confident in the treatment being provided. This aligns with Code 2.11, Records and Data, because of the importance of having sufficient and correct data for the child. Miscommunication about the data or child's records can be viewed as unethical, which is why face-to-face meetings would be more beneficial for everyone involved.
According to Goldsmith and LeBlanc, 2004, the term technology is defined as the practical application of knowledge. With that being said, why would one not collect data with the technology that we're given? According to Wacker, 1998, a second adaptation of FA procedures has involved conducting them in the homes of children with developmental disabilities who display problem behavior. Wacker and colleagues have shown repeatedly that parents can conduct FAs in their homes when trained behavior analysts provide them with on-site coaching. During these studies, it was shown that FCT programs that are matched with the results of FAs often decrease occurrence of problem behavior by 90%. This is even true when every assessment and treatment session is conducted by a parent who had no formal training in ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. Also, the use of autistic behavior computer-based didactic software during ABA therapy sessions helps make the intervention easier for families. ABCD software progresses level by level, increasing the difficulty according to the discrete trial training. and thus helping tutors perform ABA sessions correctly. This way, ABCD software increases the ABA sessions not only for therapists, but for parents and caregivers in general. Parents and unskilled caregivers can perform ABA sessions with their children under the autism behavior computer-based didactic software guidance, permitting a more intensive intervention at any place at any time. One can also argue Ethical Compliance Code 2.11 records and data when it comes to efficient data collection. When using video to train staff, Ron Boots, 2016, and colleagues conducted a study comparing video training and verbal, the more traditional approach to training. The results show that both training were equally effective when it came to staff performance. Although video training was known to be faster and more effective to the staff as it saved more time.
Face-to-face therapy and accessibility should comply with BACB Ethical Codes 2.01 of responsibility and prerogatives of the client and 2.09 treatment intervention efficiency, which states that a behavioral analyst should identify and communicate to the primary beneficiary of the services as well as the client. While technology can assist in face-to-face therapy and accessibility to services and education, there are some downfalls. According to Bautut, 2017, technology use creates measurable benefits in teaching play, stimulating repetitive and isolated play for individuals on the autism spectrum. When working on expanding clients' play skills, they focus on simple toys, household objects, and pretend play toys that are recommended rather than using screen time. Generalization across these areas in therapy is extremely important, especially in face-to-face therapy interactions. It would be difficult for clients to learn skills of play via screen, as this would imply the client would react just as if they were actually there, which is not likely if they're not there and they are just working on a skill. Children having FaceTime with their parents or caregivers is also important in developing relationships and learning to communicate. Parents should try to spend as much time in person with their child rather than resorting to an electronic to keep their child occupied.
Implementing technology in the fields of special education and applied behavior analysis increases and improves the education and therapy services being received. Wacker and Associates explained one obstacle that many families face is the lack of access to trained applied behavior analysts who could provide services to their child. They gave the example that less than 25 board-certified behavior analysts are listed in Iowa's certificate registry, while there are an estimated 6,500 children with autism spectrum disorder living in Iowa. The lack of access to ABA services in rural states like Iowa directly affect the ability to provide services to children and often result in families having to spend more than they should to receive services from out-of-state providers, or children never receiving necessary services. This map of the rural and urban areas of the United States, provided by the United States Department of Health and Human Services, shows the majority of the country being a large or small rural area.
Social media and device usage and reinforcement. In today's society, social media is a massive platform used to connect people from all parts of the world. While most of the time this is a positive thing, there can be many negative effects for children, especially those with a developmental disability. Individuals cannot control what is being posted to social media pages, so children are being exposed to all sorts of topics that they probably wouldn't have been exposed to if they weren't on a social media account. Also, many people communicate through social media, and this often includes strangers interacting with others. We all know how it is if we get a friend request from someone that we have no idea who it is. So imagine this happening to a child with autism. This can be extra risky for a child with autism who does not have the skills to recognize what is an inappropriate relationship. Chasakos and colleagues, 2016, explains that ads within social media is one of the biggest influences for children. Social media tailors ads to address the interests of the user. So say a child who is interested in health, they may see ads about sports and health food, but they could also see ads about junk food. The research by Chasakos and colleagues, 2016, also suggests that alcohol continues to have a strong presence in social media ads. In this case, it would be considered a harmful resource, violating code 4.10. Being reliant on social media for entertainment can lead to restricted interest in children with autism. Having a large pool of interest is important for children with autism because it expands their skills and experiences. Social media can lead to a risk in technological addiction also, meaning that participation in exercise and leisure activities, both of which are important for an individual's health. So if a child is addicted to social media or some other technology, they're going to spend more time inside instead of going outside to play or meet other people.
Providing children with disabilities an opportunity to use technology throughout their day to its utmost potential is not only enjoyable and motivating for the child, but produces positive results. James and colleagues reported on 15 studies iPads, iPhone, and teaching programs for individuals with developmental disabilities in the domains of academics, communication, employment, leisure, and transition, all which indicated positive results in using smart technology to learn targeted skills. Our journey at the use of autistic behavior computer-based didactic software during ABA therapy sessions increases the child's motivation to work due to the enjoyment of the device acting as an intrinsic reinforcement. Our Tony discloses that the devices used during the study were purposely equipped with special shock-resistant shells as a precaution. However, the devices were not mistreated. Our Tony discusses this attraction to technological devices experienced by children with autism has already been reported by several studies, including Williams, which showed that children with autism spent more time on reading material when they accessed it through a computer and were less resistant to use it. Access to technology is highly reinforcing and motivating for children with disabilities and should be utilized in both applied behavior analysis clinics and special education settings.
The cost of technology places substantial pressure on public institutions based on the fact that public institutions are not always correctly funded or provide access to assistive technology for students with disabilities in a special education classroom. Lee and Templeton, 2008, state that many education programs have one of the biggest barriers in providing technology for students, and it's due to the lack of funding. This will place additional pressure on special education student families to outsource resources in the public institution itself. There are many laborious hours and energy that is placed on budgeting such institutions, which in turn prolongs the education of the student. This wasted time negatively impacts the public institution by taking valuable time away from their students' education to budget the revolving door of technology. BACB's Ethical Code 2.12 contracts, fees, and financial agreements are to be complied with factors concerning the cost of treatment. With this code, there should be paperwork outlining the responsibilities of all parties. And when things change, all agreements, financial responsibilities should be revisited by all parties.
The cost to receive appropriate services for children with disabilities can be high and lower to provide services for their child. Implementing technology in the field of special education and applied behavior analysis will provide parents and caregivers the ability to perform technology-enhanced ABA sessions supporting an intrinsic intervention. ABCD software, the particular autism behavior and computer-based didactic software that our Tony 2018 research, has been made available at no cost and helps caregivers to easily provide ABA sessions even by themselves, decreasing the financial burden that comes with services provided by professionally trained therapists usually.
Stigma, normalcy, and assistive technology. Many of the interventions implemented by behavior analysts attempt to improve a child's social skills and relationships. Technology can be incredibly helpful for a child who does not have functional language, and using technology for this reason is obviously encouraged. However, technology can have some adverse effects to the child using it. According to Cappadocia and colleagues, 2012, one of the main reasons children with autism are bullied are due to their lack of communication. Adding an assistive communication device can, unfortunately, heighten this bullying. Parents of children with autism often seek to have some normalcy in their lives, and the stigma associated with having a special needs child is extremely stressful. We are not condoning children to not use assistive technology just so they can fit in, but we wanted to point out one of the disadvantages associated with this type of technology. Code 1.03 covers maintaining competence through professional development. This code would apply in this case because it is important for the behavior analyst to research the best methods available for a child who does not have functional communication, and keep in mind the parent's concerns as well. If a parent is worried about their child being bullied, it is the responsibility of the behavior analyst to ensure that all options are researched so that the parents can pick the best thing that they feel like will work for their child.
To argue that, it is known that poor quality of life may be an outcome for individuals with special needs and intellectual disabilities, according to Hames, 2017. Technologies such as iPads, iPhones, computers, and even communication devices are proven to help the quality of life in domains of communication, employment, and of course, leisure. Hames 2017 also discusses applied behavior analysis and how the technology above can help with task analysis, multi-step instruction, discrete trials, video modeling, and of course, communication with others. According to our Tony 2017, ABCD software allows much easier personalization than do traditional ABA sessions. The system adapts to the user's needs. Visual prompts such as labels and images are provided in the user interface if the child is not receptive or nonverbal. Furthermore, simple interfaces allow caregivers and parents to quickly insert personal content, achieving personalization more easily than by using handwritten, professionally prepared training regimens.
Bauto 2017 explains that there are over 200 apps available on various technological devices aimed at the skill deficits in children with autism. Many of these apps target play skills. While these can be useful in some areas, play skills can actually be hindered when using technology because it can encourage repetitive action and isolated play. Play skills should be expanded by encouraging pretend and parallel play and using toys functionally, rather than looking at a screen. In this situation, Code 2.09, Treatment Intervention Efficiency, could be easily violated if the behavior analyst is using apps to teach skills that have not been researched and shown to be effective. An interview was conducted with the clinical director of a sample agency that recently used telehealth tele-ABA for 6 months due to lack of BCBAs in the center, but recently stopped using telehealth due to some potential ethical and HIPAA violations. The first example is that telehealth at the sample agency was performed on 2 iPads, and the therapist had to carry around during the duration of the therapy session, while the BCBA billed for them. The iPad served as a major distraction to the learners and made it difficult for learners to maintain focus during their work session. Another example from the sample agency has to do with problem behaviors, with the function of the behavior being attention maintained. During the billing session, the BCBA on the iPad, the client would be engaging in a problem behavior, and the BCBA via telehealth would reinforce the behavior unintentionally. There were many more serious behaviors the clients engaged in that the BCBA did not see due to the billing sessions only lasting 1 to 2 hours during the 8-hour workday. The last example from the sample agency is that many of the BCBAs were working from their home or in a clinic-based setting where family members or other children were able to view the behaviors and programming of the clients, which could potentially become a violation of HIPAA.
Starting off with video modeling, it is first off portable, and most professionals and individuals can operate video with little to no instructions. This makes it easier for schools to implement and families to implement at home. Rather than their child watching YouTube videos or movies, they can practice video modeling as a part of their parent training goals, as I stated earlier that it is easier for most parents to implement. According to Goldsmith and LeBlanc, 2004, a video is proven useful for video modeling appropriate behaviors or new skills, providing feedback, and can be a medium for providing basic instruction, as many children find video engaging. When it comes to generalization, Goldsmith and LeBlanc, 2004, compared the effectiveness of video modeling to vivo modeling and found that video modeling led to faster language, self-help skills, and acquisition to play. The authors also state that video modeling and even teletherapy may help to generalize skills and concepts by gaining the child's attention and maintaining the child's attention. It also helps because it is a more simple format to present, and most importantly, it can offer more ways to present a variety of skills.
So on this slide, we have some examples of the technology that can be used during ABA and special education. Some of the examples shown here are the Discrete Trial Trainer, which is an app that can be installed onto a device to train and implement. So it's basically the same thing as doing DTT in a clinic setting, only it's electronically. The next one is a wearable sensor. It's used to monitor attention and health levels. I've actually seen this being used in the clinic that I work in, and it's really helpful for kids who have anxiety or just have a really hard time calming down if they're in an aversive situation. So it tracks their heart rate, and then it'll show up on the screen when they've reached a calm heart rate. So it helps to teach them the things that they can do to keep their heart rate down. The next is a book called Apps for Autism, written by Lois Brady, and it offers a list of helpful apps for therapists and caregivers to reference. Sometimes it's hard to figure out which app to use depending on the child's needs. So this book is really helpful so that parents and caregivers and clinicians can pick the right app for the specific child. And then last, we have the Autistic Behavior Computer-Based Dyadic Software, which is a free software for children with autism.
In conclusion, there are disadvantages to technology. However, there is more research behind technology as a benefit to the field of special education and applied behavior analysis, rather than technology posing as a threat. Artoni 2018 defines applied behavior analysis as a scientific approach for modeling human behavior with interventions that are applied to people with developmental disabilities, mostly autism spectrum disorder. Special education services provided by public school systems include all disabilities grades K through 12. The discussions throughout the informal debate included all of these main points: health, care coordination and training with staff use and data collection, face-to-face therapy and accessibility, social media and device usage along with reinforcement, cost, stigma and normalcy with assistive technology, and lastly, teletherapy and video modeling. Though technology holds a high monetary value and may contribute a weight gain with an appropriate usage amount, its aid to healthcare and accessibility prove its worth. Here are some questions to think about as we expand and reflect on the topic and ethic class altogether. Do you have any personal experiences regarding ethics and technology? How can you, a future BCBA, prevent technology taking over a client's independence? How can we, as future professionals, balance and gain from the use of technology?
Our group, consisting of Jessica Tice, Amanda Dorsey, Stacy Paplava, and Christina O'Byrne, thank you for viewing our debate. We hope you gained some knowledge on the topic of the future of technology in special education and applied behavior analysis. We look forward to reading your questions and comments in the discussion board.